Well, played the wrong open there. I hope anyone interested in Stream On will know that that's coming later this week. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, it's Jim, it's Amadeus, it's a Thursday. Sean is en route to Europe, where he'll be reporting to us maybe tomorrow, but probably more likely sometime Monday, Tuesday of next week. So he is on the mission. Amedeus and I are here to hold down the fort. Saw Rich Eisen yesterday, spoke to him on the phone for a couple minutes. He's with the NFL Network. And I said, when does your pregame start? And he goes, 2 hours ago, which of course he was joking. But can we ever get too much Super Bowl overload?
I mean, it all depends, right? Like they do it on purpose, the way they set it up. So, they get the extra week to advertise things and really push it. And then, obviously there's the Pro Bowl in between, which nobody pays attention to or even really talks about. Yeah. So it's basically just 2 weeks of Super Bowl. And then there's the other things, right? Like it's not, some people like we've discussed before, some people don't even watch for the game, right? There's other things to hype, like the commercials, the halftime show. So, I mean, it's an interesting game because it's not just the game you're hyping. There's different areas and it's a whole network of things. Yeah.
Well, and this is the first Super Bowl where you have, I'm going to say, 26 states where you can legally bet on it. And so that usually has boisters the numbers for the run up to the game. I'll get on Saturday, probably sometime on Saturday, I'll get a rundown sheet from Fox that gives you what's going to happen every minute from the time they go on the air on Sunday morning till the time they go off the air on Sunday night. Normally there's going to be an interview with the president, which they throw in. Don't ask me why, but they do. Now, in this particular case, Joe Biden happens to be a Philadelphia Eagles fan, so I think we know where he's going on that one. But yeah, there's a lot of extraneous conversation with people who more than likely sit there and just say, okay, I'm going to justify why I like Kansas City. I'm going to justify why I like, Philadelphia, and let the chips fall where they may. So we'll see how that goes. But there's a lot of hype, and Radio Row is full this week of people, which really don't. I mean, that's the funny thing about Radio Row is that that's where all of the players go to hawk whatever their pitch people are, right? So you get let's say an Emmitt Smith, right? You get Emmitt Smith, but you have to commit to spending at least 2 minutes of your interview with Emmitt on whatever the hell he's selling. So you got, and then they go from one place to, so if you happen to be flipping, through, you could hear Emmitt Smith being interviewed on three times in a row on 3 different radio stations. So
talking about the same product.
Oh yeah,
that he's trying to sell you.
Like yeah, so I'm a big fan of the Sleep Number bed. It's like yeah, okay, good for you, good for you. But,
Dak Prescott.
Yeah. Thing? Well, I think Dak is, he's on that Sleep Number bed watching the game. So.
Well, up here we get the commercials with him in it.
Oh yeah,
he does the commercials. So I don't know if it's different in the States, but yeah, up here.
It's Sleep Number's an international brand. So you and I get to see the same had the same Dak Prescott that we.
He's the face of Sleep Number.
Yeah, he puts you to sleep. Question.
And he doesn't need the mattress to do it.
No. He's Cowboy fans have thought long and hard that he's been asleep for a couple of years.
It's just the reincarnation of Tony Romo.
Right. Just a different number. it's funny because when he came into the league and started lighting things up, people were like penciling them in for the Super Bowl pretty much every other year. And it ain't happened yet. And, without throwing shade at Dak, it's quite possible they may never let them get there. But we'll see. Never say never, because it took late into his career for John Elway to get there. Same thing with Peyton Manning. So
they just need to sign Terrell Owens, and then they'll be ready for the Super Bowl.
well, hell, Jerry Rice wouldn't hurt either. I still think Jerry could probably catch a few balls.
Probably, man. Like, these guys are in great shape at 50 years old. I'm sure.
I saw them the other day on the 49ers game, and I swear, had it just not been for the fact he was dressed in a suit, I would have thought, hey, give him the ball. He can go out and probably run 6 or 7 routes and catch targets during the game. It's crazy.
Yeah, but he was not happy after that game.
No, he was not. He was not pleased at all that they didn't post for him.
Not a happy camper.
No. One of the storylines this week, I'd like your opinion on it. One of the storylines this week at the Super Bowl is if Patrick Mahomes is going to catch Tom Brady, he's got to win this Super Bowl. Now, Tom has 7 rings. Okay, Patrick has 2. No, yes, 2.
Is it 2?
Is it 1 or 2?
I think it's 1. I think he's been to 2.
Oh, he's been to, okay. He's been to, okay. You're right, 1. He's got 6 more to go. What do you think the chances are that he's going to get to 6 Super Bowls? I mean, that's just crazy.
I mean, how old is he now? Like 20?
He's in his early 30s.
Is Patrick Mahomes is in his early 30s?
I think. Hang on, let me look it up.
Is he really?
Whilst we are here. Patrick, maybe it's 28. Maybe it's 28 or something.
Has it been that long already?
It's been around for a while. Patrick Mahomes. I am totally wrong. He was born in 1994.
Okay,
So
27
years old, from Tyler, Texas.
All right, so if you do the math, he's got about 13 more years in the NFL if we're comparing him to Tom Brady.
True,
he's got to make the Super. He's got to win the Super Bowl in at least half of those.
Right. No
break
pressure,
the
no
record.
problem. Right?
So you know what? It could happen. You never know, right? Like Tom Brady. Tom Brady won 7 Super Bowls, but he was in what, 10 over?
Yeah, he was in 10 once
over the 20-year period he was there. So that's what I mean, right? Already, Patrick Mahomes has 1 Super Bowl and 2 appearances, and he's only been in the league like what, 4 or 5 years now.
What, Mahomes?
Yeah, something like that. And he sat behind Alex Smith his first year. So yeah, you know what? I mean, it's totally possible. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm wondering if this is curious to me. I'm wondering if Andy Reid, if he wins this time, whether he retires and they elevate Eric Bieniemy to being the head coach, because Andy's in his 60s. I don't know that Andy, wants to keep doing this over and over again. And if you win a Super Bowl, what a great time to step off the stage. It seems I can't for the life of me understand why Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, has not gotten a head coaching job. That just baffles me. And they keep bringing up these same knuckleheads. I mean, you're going to tell me that your Cardinals, are better off with Cliff Kingsbury than they would have been with Eric Bieniemy. I mean, please do not insult my intelligence to that point.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And it's interesting. Like maybe there's a small chance he doesn't want to leave just because you have such a good thing going at Kansas. So some guys maybe don't just don't.
Yeah, I mean, he keeps interviewing, and they just keep not taking it.
Yeah, I don't know. There's always a few guys like that.
Yeah.
Trust me, if I was the Cardinals head coach, or sorry, if I was the Cardinals general manager, like I wouldn't have hired half the guys they've hired over the years, or bring in half the players, right? So I don't know. It's these organizations, and I know what you mean. It's like it seems like it's the same guys that get recycled over and over, and then like they'll go down to college for a few years and work with Saban, and then come back up like 5 years later, and all of a sudden they're like the new hot thing. But it's nothing new, really.
Well, look at how many times, and we'll switch to the NHL for a second. Look, I love Bruce Boudreau, 100%. Funniest guy, great hockey coach. He turns a franchise around, and then about a year and a half later, he gets fired because no longer is quote unquote no longer does he have the locker room. Okay, fine. How many times has Trotz been head coach somewhere? How many times has you look at there's like 4 guys who've almost coached every team in the league. And he gets the same thing in baseball. You get, turnover of the same retreads. And so you're sitting there going, eventually, would you not give someone else a chance instead of taking this guy who, wasn't successful at that, at his last stop? What the hell makes you think he's going to be successful now?
Exactly, right? Like instead of recycling Bill O'Brien for the 20th time, maybe we need to just take a chance on the next Sean McVay or whatever. You know what I mean? Because clearly it hasn't been working for so many years. You're not going to make your team worse by taking a chance on a coach when you're in that kind of situation. You know what I mean? Like the Cardinals aren't going to get worse next year if they take a chance on EMMY.
Right.
Like it hasn't worked out with Cliff for 3 years or 2 years, whatever, right? Like
give somebody else a chance.
Okay, something's got to change. So
and then though, you've got the Steelers, who've had 3 head coaches since 1969.
Stability.
And it's a system. The Rooney set up a system. The general manager does the general manager's job. The coach does the coach's job. The players do the player's job. There's no drama in Pittsburgh, and they've only had in that entire period, they've only had 4 losing seasons.
Yeah, well, I think it comes down to the owners too. They put their team in a position to win. You know what I mean? Like Mike Tomlin, to last as long as he's lasted as a head coach in the NFL is amazing. Like you never see that. You'll see it in maybe like college basketball. Guys have been on a team for like almost 20 years. Yeah, but like NFL, it's almost unheard of. And to boot, he's never had a losing season in that span. So it's obviously I think it's partly great coaching from him and partly the organization putting him in that position to win. Because they got it. They went out and got him Kenny Pickett this year. And then again, that's Tomlin making the decision. I can't get any worse. Trubisky's been sucking, so let me take a chance on Kenny Pickett. We drafted this guy. I saw him every day for so many years, right?
When he was at Pitt, Let me just the same building with us.
Let me just take a chance on him, and look at that! You got to a winning season at least. Right. That's something to build on for next year.
And he learned. With an offensive line, it was terrible.
Exactly, right? And that's what I mean. That year of experience is going to help him for next year. Then it's going to help slow the game down for him.
Right, and he understands. He has an offensive feel for the coach now. He understands his personnel because that worked during the course of the season. He understands which lineman not to trust because
I need to watch that right side or the left side.
You got my blind side. I got smashed 5 times, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
So he's got all that going.
He knows he's got a great defense. Always has a great defense.
And the funny thing is, if you go to the Steelers organization, and I had the luxury of doing some stuff with them back in the day, Coach Cower, everybody knows everybody. You go through the building, right? Everybody says hello. Everybody knows who everybody else is. They have this kind of like, there's no pressure here. It's like, I used to jokingly say, when someone said, "Where are you going today?" I said, "I got to go to Pittsburgh." And they go, "What for?" I said, "To go to Mr. Rogers' neighborhood." because that was that kind of feeling. That
It's like a family.
It's a family. Nothing is going to elevate it. You know, if we have issues, you know, you talk them through like the family. One of the things that the Steelers don't do is drama. When Levy and Bell gave them drama, fine, Levy, and you know, you don't like being here, we'll send you someplace, wherever you go. Send you to the Jets, you know, send Antonio Brown. I mean, whenever it happened, but there's no angst. There's just like, okay, you know, you don't like it here, let's just move on.
And they came out on top in both those scenarios, really.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell.
Normally they do. Normally, if you can't make it in Pittsburgh, there's a reason.
Yeah. Actually, the other thing I want to say about Mike Tomlin, which makes him so great, is you'll never get a better soundbite from another head coach in the NFL. Not even Bill Belichick can deliver the sound bites that Tomlin has.
Oh, he's great at sarcasm. I mean, you know, it's just like you feel he can make a reporter feel like the lowest of the low without being mean by simply, you know, I remember one time somebody was questioning and calling me. And so he turns to the guy and goes, all right, you know, he says, you watched this. You know, you think that was a bad call. What do we call? Because maybe next time I'll take your advice. What is it? And he goes, hang on one second. So long to my associate producer. Goodbye.
Love you.
Love you too. See you later. That's not sexual harassment. It was my wife. So anyway, with Tomlin, he's got that sense of humor. I mean, if you want to have some fun sometime, look up Pittsburgh Dad. Okay. It's Kurt Wooten is the guy's name.
Pittsburgh Dad.
Yeah. Pittsburgh Dad. I'll tell you what, maybe what we'll do while we're doing this, I'll pull up a video and we'll show it to you. Pittsburgh Dad is a guy, he's an actor who's from Pittsburgh, who basically does a reaction video to the Steelers game every week. And it's hilarious. And I don't know how Kurt did this, but he has gotten, you know, he had Tomlin on the show from time to time. He's had pretty much all the famous players on the team on his show. And it's a YouTube show. I mean, it's a thing where, and it's only him, but he's talking to his family. You never get to see the family. It's always just him talking. And so Tomlin every year. Tomlin does a thing at camp with them where he goes out and he goes, you know, I'm just one of the guys with the rest of the people. And so what do you think? And Mike will come over and he'll play that role for 5 minutes. He'll do this shtick. It's total shtick. I mean, it's not, you know, he knows what he's doing. He knows that it's a joke, but he's cool with it. And, you know, you got to like people who understand that, you know, as he said, you know, as Tomlin has said numerous times, because this is a game, we should have fun.
Yeah.
Because, you know, winning is fun, but fun is, you know, because we don't work for a living. So, you know, it's that kind of thing. But, you know, some organizations, the Cardinals being one of them, seem to react instead of lead. And that's been, unfortunately for you, and I apologize for what happened, but that goes all the way back to when they were the Chicago Cardinals and the Big Old family. They just simply don't give a damn.
It's just it's time to sell the team.
It would be a good idea. It's been passed down through bad generation to bad generation.
Yeah, it's like that thing we talked about. If it hasn't been working for so many years, it's time to make a change. Well, if you've made all these changes at every other level, and the only level left is the ownership, maybe it's time to make a change. Okay, maybe cash in your billions of dollars.
Well, I mean, look at that franchise would be worth a ton. I mean,
exactly.
you can't ask for a better location. Man, God, Phoenix, Arizona.
Speaking
a wonderful place.
Speaking of franchises worth a ton, did you see the report yesterday about the Commanders?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not fetching more than Man United. for the Washington Commanders.
No.
I can't even believe that's his way of being like, fine, you're gonna force me to sell. I'm gonna overprice the team so no one buys it.
Well, Jeff Bezos wanted to buy it,
Not for $7 billion.
and the thing is, he was willing to pony up some serious cash, which any cash over a few $1 billion is, is a lot of money. But the funny thing about it was that, Snyder says he didn't want to sell it to him because Jeff owns the Washington Post, and he said the Washington Post was mean to me. And so it's like, okay, so you're not selling a team to Jeff Bezos because he's been mean to you?
No, I know. And
sorry.
It's ridiculous. Now, I disagree with Jeff Bezos buying for a different reason, though. I think it's a conflict of interest because he has the rights to Thursday Night Football. So I think if you want to own an NFL team, you got to give up those rights to Thursday Night Football. Can't have them both.
No, look, I wouldn't disagree with you on that. I'm just saying, if the reason you're not going to do this is because you're pissed off at a guy for the newspaper. I don't know. I think that's
that's a dumb.
That move is not one that I support.
Especially because one of the conditions was he had to sell the Washington Post or whatever he was willing to sell the Washington Post.
If he sells the Washington Post, you get the team. How does that change things?
Yeah,
it's just it's crazy. Totally crazy.
I don't know. Snyder's a nut job. We'll see what happens.
I don't think there's any question about Snyder being a nut job.
Yeah, no, that number is not going to be.
That goes without saying. But
can't price your crappy Commanders higher than Manchester United, which is like a global franchise, a lot more of a global franchise than the Washington Commanders.
Well, when he bought the team, when Snyder bought the team, it was the third highest valued NFL franchise.
Really?
Mm-hmm. With a 200,000 person season ticket waiting list. By the time that Dan is now in the position to sell it, right? There's no waiting list anymore for tickets. And life is really simple now from that standpoint. It's just crazy. I wish I could say it wasn't, but unfortunately.
No waiting list for Commanders tickets? What do you mean? I can just go buy one? You
can walk up and buy what normally would be probably a $75 ticket. If you pay more than $10 to $15 for it, you've been ripped.
$75 for an NFL game, really?
Well, that's a cheap ticket, but
that's a cheap. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've never been to a football game myself, but I know, like, I hear they're like $500 at least for tickets.
It's it's not a cheap ticket by any stretch of the imagination.
And I can believe it because I know, like, nosebleeds at a hockey game is $100 just to go watch the Leafs. So anything in the lower bowl is like $400.
You're lucky to get in the building in Toronto. That place is almost sold out all the time.
Yeah, and Raptors games they're like double the price. It's crazy. Maybe because I think there's less seating when they put the cord on. I don't know. I really don't know how it works.
Well, I mean, I think one of the things is they figured out that the market will bear it. Because you're not going to raise ticket prices if, for whatever reason, you can't sell it, right?
Yeah, like I said, I like my Blue Jays games. I pay like $20, and there's so many empty seats I can move freely around the stadium.
True, yeah, that's true.
Good old Rogers Center. They're renovating it now, building some walls and knocking out some seats and stuff like that, trying to help their team hit home runs, I guess.
Well, it's not a bad idea. It's actually not a bad idea because it's been done.
Yeah, it's what the Orioles did last year.
Yeah, they did. Didn't help them, but it did. Well, I helped Aaron Judge.
You know what? They had a good season though. Gotta give some respect to the Orioles.
In fairness, yes.
Almost the Oilers.
But like I said, it helped Aaron Judge and a number of other players who came in and go, oh, isn't this lovely?
And that's why they did it, right? They're like, oh, we're not going to survive this division. We need to back up the wall.
We need to, make things work. There were there's the stadiums like Three Rivers in Pittsburgh and Bet in Philly and the ballpark in Cincinnati, Riverfront. The whole thing was based on they literally could and did. Basically go and knock down. They've moved walls up and back depending upon who they're playing, because you couldn't tell. The umpires didn't know. So it may say 375 on the thing. That might be 350. They may have moved it in a little closer, because whenever they got small balls teams, they're like, okay, well then this is good. We can do that. That would give us an advantage. So they kept moving the wall back and forth.
I hate that.
It was basically, they didn't tell anybody, but they just kept moving it back and forth.
It's not even the shadiness that bothers me about it. It's just like the fact that I want to know what the distance is. I need to know. It's like when I go to the golf course and they move the tee block on me, and it's like, okay, the rock says the par 3 is 150 yards, but if the tee block was 30 yards up when they built that rock and built the course years ago, right? Like now I'm 160 yards away. It makes a difference. That's 2 extra clubs now for me.
That's right. And possibly losing 1 or 2 golf balls along the way.
You hit a shot and you're like, well, how did I overshoot the green? Oh, I'm 130 away, not 160. Thanks, right. Rock.
Yeah. The rock stops here.
Or the scorecard or whatever it says. Yeah. It's always lying to you, because they're always changing the pins and the tee blocks. It's always lying. They're always lying to you.
What do you play? Do you play from the regular tee, the blue tees, or where do you play?
Yeah. I play from the blues. I used to play from the tips when I was in high school, because I was really into golf, going every day, five days a week type thing, right? And then because I think back then I was like volunteering at the course, so they paid you in hours. So free golf. So just played for free all day.
You were Caddyshack.
Exactly. But then obviously, I got to university, had to commute to Toronto, couldn't golf as much. And now I haven't golfed as much last year. Now it's more just like it's like a fun thing. I go out.
It's a hobby.
A few times a week, right? But I still love to do it. Love to golf.
It's funny. We were talking about this week is ironically the Phoenix Open. And that's usually one of the most enjoyable tournaments. Because it's like, I don't know how, because when you go to a golf tournament, it's very quiet. That is not the case at the Phoenix Open. You swear that you would be at a Phoenix Suns game. Totally different vibe. I mean, incredibly different vibe.
Yeah, that's the waste management one or whatever, right? Yeah. The golfers, I remember that when
Phil was likable.
It was getting big. I remember last year the golfers were talking about how they actually liked the environment and the noise because they felt like it was different for them. They were like, it's like we're playing in a hockey arena or like a football stadium. Everybody's shouting at us.
Normally it's like, you've got the golf clap, right? Normally it's the golf clap. It's like, oh, okay, that's very sweet.
The poetry snaps.
Yeah, and they're screaming the guy's name. They even scream when people putt. It's like, miss it! It's like, nobody cares. I mean,
it's a really good one. And that was the thing, is the golfers liked the environment. So that was what was important.
Well, it's the same thing for Ryder Cup, right? Because Ryder Cup you can play, you can cheer. They want you to cheer.
It's that fun
it's encouraged. So, hey, it's fun. It's, and that's why I think a lot of people like, like the U.S. Open tennis or some of those areas, because they break the norms. So like, hey, I don't care. This is my guy. I'm going to yell for him, or I'm going to yell against him. Ask Djokovic. He's had it both ways. He's had people yelling against him. He's had people rooting for him.
He's had the whole crowd against him and the whole
Right.
crowd for him in the same match.
Right.
They want him to lose, and then when he's down 2-0, they're like, "No, we want more tennis. Let's go!"
I paid $300 for his ticket. Come on, dude.
I actually remember one time because they were like, I think it was in the U.S. Open when Medvedev stopped him from the Grand Slam.
Right.
As Medvedev was taking the lead, obviously they wanted to see the underdog win, so they're cheering hard. And then when he got up like 2-0, it was like, no, we want to see more tennis. All of a sudden, the crowd flipped for Djokovic. It was the craziest thing.
Hey, it is what it is. Yeah. Tell you what, for you and for the audience, we'll take a minute. I'm going to play you Pittsburgh Dad, so you get to see what this. Now, I've not seen it. I just literally downloaded it and
just heard about it.
This is the new one.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what it is, but let's give you a shot. Here we go. Pittsburgh Dad.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the 49ers were down there like 27th string quarterback in that championship game. I says, big deal. The Steelers once started Neil O'Donnell in a Super Bowl. That guy ain't even worthy to be a string. String cheese, maybe, because he's easy to pick off. And the Eagles didn't lose their game, so you know that Philadelphia didn't have to worry about the fans and their signature loss destruction. However, because they won the game, Philadelphia got to worry about the fans and their signature victory destruction. That's a double-edged cheesesteak. Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce will be the first set of brothers to square off in a Super Bowl. I says that simply ain't true, because a couple Super Bowls ago, Le'Veon Bell with the Chiefs and Antonio Brown with the Bucks faced each other. They're the Clown brothers. That counts. Oh, I don't want to hear that the refs cost the Bengals the game. Cry me a Three Rivers. The Steelers been dealing with infinite bad calls since their inception in 1933, and we still got 6 Super Bowls. And then the Bengals are all whining about that late hit call on Mahomes. Did you not remember the 2016 wildcard game Yins played against us? That personal foul call that gives away a game is always in their playbook. Hell, it's in the damn Times Charter. From henceforth, we're always going to put disgusting globs of chili on everything we eat, and we're going to have boneheaded penalties in the waning moments of all our playoff games, which makes the opposing team's field goal attempt a chip shot. Signed, whatever idiot invented Cincinnati. You see that free dime that the refs handed to the Chiefs. I says, if the refs are going to hand out free plays, we'll take one. I know, just to play. Super Bowl. Rashard Mendenhall. Fumble. Do-over. Aaron Rodgers ain't doing nothing right now. You go get him and the Packers. I'll go over to Big Ben's house, round them all up. Marquise Pouncey, Adrian Peterson. I know he weren't a Steeler, but obviously there ain't no rules here. Do-over. Boom. 7th Lombardi. Oh, what do you mean there were Steeler fans out there cheering for the Bungles? Hang on, lad. I'm going to need their names, addresses, and the general time when they go to sleep. Good news, Deb. Finally figured out what we're going to do with all them frequent flyer miles. We're going to see the world. We're going to experience new cultures. And we're going to get to call out Bengal-loving Steeler fans right to their faces. It's what we always dreamed. This week's episode of Pittsburgh Dad is brought to you by the law firm of
There you go. Curse.
You'll let you know
what is going on, but
some funny stuff.
Yeah, he's a good actor, and check it out at Pittsburgh Dad on the YouTube channel. He's a good guy, and some funny stuff there. But anyway, I did a piece yesterday, which should come out soon, I hope, on the Pac-12 and their expansion. They went to the Commissioner George Kiyakov went yesterday to SMU, to Dallas, and basically to take a look at whether or not they can add SMU. And the big thing is, they're like, oh, what does SMU bring to the Pac-12 conference?
More teams to make your perspective.
Well, there's more teams and there's more events, right? But the other thing is they've got a $4 billion, that's with a B, endowment. So, they got money. Every player on SMU makes $36,000 with NIL money now.
Wow.
NIL money has gotten so crazy And the problem is they're not quite sure how to regulate it yet.
Did you hear about the 2 recruits Saban had to turn down?
Yeah.
They wanted like $1.3 million NIL deals, and he
Yeah.
was basically like, the hell out of here.
Well, as a Florida Gator fan, we got sucked into this thing, and I'm not going to say it wasn't our fault, because it was. There's a quarterback out there that wants $13 million. And the booster said, we'll find it. Well, when the school hears about this, they go, whoa. No. You are not giving $13 million to a recruit. He goes, what are you thinking? It's like, we understand NIL, but $13 million? Well, he decides, okay, wait a minute. No, that 13, don't worry about that. Just give me 8. They're like, okay. And again, the athletic Scott Strickland and everybody in the athletic department, no, you're not. No. We have a limit. You can go to that limit, which is, I think, 50 grand. I've always been for pay for play, because you never know what's going to happen as a college athlete. You can get hurt. You can get, for life, you may not ever play again. Okay. So I get that. And you should be paid for that. But $8 or $9 billion.
Yeah, not $13 million.
$13 million, making more money than a rookie contract, than any rookie contract that of the guys in the league is a little nuts. But it's gotten to that point where there are schools that will pay for playing, and there's schools that won't. And like Stanford, for instance, they passed on 3 or 4 kids saying, look, we'll give you an education, we'll pay a reasonable amount of money, a stipend, but if you can get more money somewhere else, and that's what's important to you, go ahead, go and get it. And then you've got the transfer portal, so there's that too, which is you basically have free agency in college every year.
These kids are going to make so much money they don't even need to go to the NFL.
And what started this, which was funny. Let's see what we got in the way of some of my other question here. Okay. Hey guys, doing well. Hey Foxy, how you doing? Anything, Foxy? Anything you want to talk about? We're talking about NIL at the moment. We'll talk about anything you want to. The NIL thing started with a punter from the University of Central Florida who had a YouTube channel, which had nothing to do with hunting or college football in any way. It had to do with his ability to be a great skateboard person. So he was making money off his YouTube channel. And we're not talking about $80 million. We're talking about, maybe $10,000 off his YouTube. Well, he goes and he tells the athletic department, this is what's going on. The AD, calls the NCAA, and they suspend the kid. The kid takes the NCAA to court and wins.
Suspended for what? Having a job?
For taking money that the NCAA had a strict rule. You could not take money of any sort. I mean, if you're a college athlete, I'll show you how crazy it was. Tiger Woods got thrown out of Stanford because Arnold Palmer bought him dinner.
Wow.
Now, Tiger Woods was a college golfer. He and Nota Begay were members of the Stanford golf team. They played in a couple of tournaments when Arnold Palmer was playing in these tournaments. Palmer said, guys, when I get to San Francisco, I'll give you a call and we'll go out to dinner. He gets to San Francisco, gives him a call. They go over to his hotel. They have a nice conversation. Palmer buys him dinner. They go back to Stanford. 2 days later, of course, because it's all in the newspaper that Palmer, Woods, and Begay have dinner, they're called into the athletic department. They're basically the AD saying, I'm sorry, guys, I really hate to say it, but you're gonna have to leave.
But that's what I mean. That's why I find that dumb, is because it's like, if you just wanted to go out and get a normal job, that would have prevented you from getting a normal job while you're in school or playing sports or whatever.
Yeah. And it,
Like,
you know,
even if you just wanted a campus job or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, working at the local campus store.
well, there's also the one Chris Webber, right? When Chris was at Michigan, Chris goes into a sub shop, a Subway sub shop.
Yep.
He picks out the sub he wants, grabs some chips, grabs a soda, goes to check out, he's got the money out, and the guy says, Chris, you're like $1.25 short. And Chris is like, oh, I'm sorry, he's gonna put something back. And the guy says, look, that's all right. I know you. Go ahead. Just go ahead, take it. I'll front you the $1.50, right? Chris is like, oh, I don't want to get in trouble. He says, no, it's not trouble, because I'm giving you food, okay? I'm not paying for it. I'm giving it to you. So anyway, he convinced him to take it. So Chris goes out, and as he's walking out the door, he walks. He's just walking in the student section, student area there, and he walks by the front window of the bookstore, and he sees the Chris Webber jersey on sale for $95. He didn't get any of that money.
Exactly.
And he's, around the corner, getting upset because he didn't have $1.50 to get a sandwich. So as far as I'm concerned, fine. Yeah, you want to pay these guys. The athletic department is making money off of them.
Exactly.
So why not pay them? And I think, now how does let me ask you a quick question. How does I know that there's a lot of hockey players who make it to the NHL who play for club teams in Canada. Are you allowed to pay the kids in that, or does that work more like a college thing? And I'm sorry to put you on the spot, because
yeah, I actually don't. It's funny because I have a friend that went through that avenue, Andreas Athanasiou. I watched him play for the Barrie Colts and the London Knights, and then and in the OHL, obviously, and now he's obviously playing for the Chicago Blackhawks in the NHL. But yeah, I don't know. I assume they would have been getting paid, because OHL is kind of like a minor hockey league. Basically,
Okay.
Basically, it's the minors. It's not really connected. It's weird. In Canada, you're better off playing. So, because our college system isn't set up the same way as obviously in the US.
States.
Yeah, you want to go to college if you want to be good in hockey, obviously, and go to the NHL. You probably want to go to a college somewhere in the Big Ten and play for one of those teams, all right, and then work your way up. In Canada, I don't think our colleges and universities are it's good for that. I think it's actually you have to play house league and rep, earn your way on to the AA team, the AAA, and then it's once you hit AA and AAA, you're traveling around all across Ontario. They make you travel to all these different games. So yeah, then that's when the OHL and the AHL teams start to look at you. So I think the avenue in Canada is actually more through the minor leagues. You have to find a way, because we pay, for example, just a house league hockey league, you pay $500, put your child in. But then, you can also have them try out for the single A, the double A, the triple A. And I think triple A is where it stops before you start getting into, now they would have to go to a professional league after that.
I know my nephew went to Northeastern University of Boston, and Boston and the whole New England area is big hockey country for college hockey. Yeah. And you'll see probably 20, 30 guys from Canada, from Europe, from Russia, from all over, who've come to play hockey at the universities in that area, whether it's Harvard, whether it's Boston College, Boston University, Northeastern, Colgate. There's 4 pockets of hockey in this United States, college hockey, that's powerful. That would be the New England version, is you're talking about the middle of the country, the Midwest version, which is Big Ten, which, by the way, Notre Dame plays in the Big Ten in hockey.
They have a few weird ones in the hockey conference.
Then you go out west where it's crazy. You've got Denver, you've got Las Vegas, you've got Arizona. You've got teams where you're going from, where did they come from? I mean, they're playing hockey in Arizona. They're playing better hockey in Arizona in college than they are on the pros. So, yeah, I mean, it is a thing. And I was just curious. I assumed that, when you played club hockey over in Canada, that you had some sort of stipend, and they only play, I think, and I could be wrong on this, they only play like once or twice a week.
Yeah, because there's a lot of traveling, right? Like,
right. Yeah.
So for example, I think the AAA team around me is the Hamilton Bulldogs, obviously,
right.
More of a well-known team. But so if you make it onto the AAA Hamilton, if you make it onto the AAA team, you play for the Hamilton Bulldogs, but it's like their youth team. Mm-hmm. But they not like that doesn't mean they can't call you up. They could necessarily call you up, and you could find yourself playing in I guess an OHL game. Mm-hmm. I think is where the league that they're in. But yeah, so like that's the way. It's kind of similar to how the soccer leagues in Europe do it, right? Mm-hmm. Like you play Barcelona youth clubs or whatever, the Liverpool youth clubs, and work your way up the ranks that way. I also know people, because again, I think our college system isn't as strong. Mm-hmm. I know a few people from high school, like had a few friends that were girls that were great at soccer, because our men's soccer team was trash, mm-hmm. but our women's soccer team was good. They went to the States to play soccer at a real college. I know a girl who went to go play Buffalo Bulls basketball, because we had a very good women's basketball team, not the men's, but we had a great women's basketball team. So she went to go play.
Amedeus suddenly is gone. He shall return, I assume, sometime quickly. Internet issues. So that was the University of Buffalo getting mad at you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I think I clicked something by accident. But yeah,
I blamed it on Wi-Fi. So
and then I have male friends who, for baseball, have gone down to the States to play, like as a pitcher or whatever. So that's what I mean. I think as Canadians, like, we try to get in through the youth ranks, and if you can't get in that way, I think we understand well enough that we have to go down to the States if you really want to make a way in some of these professional sports.
Yeah, it's just because the colleges are feeders for a lot of that stuff. Baseball is not as much, because you can have, you can make a career. You can do 2 years or 4 years in baseball, and you're eligible for the draft after high school, after your second year of college, and then third or fourth year of college, depending upon how you want to play it.
But then you spend 9 years in the minors.
Right. Or, like I said, when they draft you out of high school, you go directly to them and you play, and you're in the minor leagues. And by the time you're 20, you've probably played a lot of Major League Baseball on A ball level, or B ball, or AA level, or even AAA level. So that's one way of making it. The other way is to go to college and play college ball, and a lot of teams that draft a high school kid, the high school kid will turn it down and go and play college. 2 years later, he'll get drafted by another team. So your draft rights in baseball only last till you are able to sign or not sign the kid, and there's a window when that happens. So from that standpoint, playing baseball, you'll see a lot more kids out of high school go and play professional baseball than you would any other. I guess tennis or golf or those kind of events. Most of the time, we've ascertained that most of the young women who play tennis are usually play tennis, and they're not in college. They play younger at that point.
Yeah,
and most of them do go to college. As a matter of fact, speaking of Stanford, John McEnroe went to Stanford.
Yeah. And, I think even up here, the media plays a part too, because, Canada is such a big hockey country. Like it's true. That is like a majority of what they talk about. If I were to flip TSN or Sportsnet on right now or whatever, it would always be something hockey in there. But yeah, like if you're playing, that's why you don't necessarily need to play in college here. Because if you find your way onto one of these, OHL or AHL teams or whatever, trust me, even if you're playing for like a younger youth league that's not the OHL, like a much smaller league, but it's like a local team, trust me, if you're good enough, someone from the news or the media picks up on it and they're talking about you on the next Sportsnet. So that's what I mean. Like Connor Bedard, I don't know. I don't focus too much on draft prospects, so I don't know too much about the kid. I watched a bit of him during the World Juniors over the holidays times, but yeah, this Connor Bedard, everybody knows. Everywhere I go, it's like people are talking about this Connor Bedard kid. And like I have no idea who he is because I really don't focus on the minor leagues. But everybody around here knows this Connor Bedard because he's the next like upcoming Canadian, next Sidney Crosby or whatever you want to call him. Right.
So okay, well, I mean, it's interesting to find out how that works because here, here everything rolls through the colleges and. Sometimes kids decide, that they want to go the whole 4 years. Most of the hockey players go the whole 4 years, get their degree, and start the process of being drafted. You don't see a lot of kids drafted in their second year out of college. It's usually, they usually play all the way through.
Yeah,
I think it's because they want a more mature kid.
Probably.
That's not the case in Europe. They'll take 17, 18, 19-year-old kids out of Europe without any hesitation.
See, up here, you're more likely to actually get poached out of college. And I know because it happened when I was on the rugby team for my high school. At our rugby practices, we would have like an actual scout there from the Hamilton whatever, right? I think they're the Hamilton Hornets or whatever, but this was like a professional league, youth league that, slowly, obviously they had higher ranks and stuff like that. But this is what I mean. They were going to schools to try and poach players for the youth teams, because I think that's really, you need to get into those leagues if you want to take things seriously.
I know my brother, George, he's my youngest brother. There were a lot of pro scouts at all of their high school games. And then there were a lot of, coaches at the high school games. So, I mean, the joke used to be on one side of the stadium, you could see all the guys with the jugs guns and, and stopwatches to see how fast you got. So when my brother played high school baseball, he was drafted by the Texas Rangers in the 6th round. But he decided that he would rather go to the University of Tampa and get an education than so in his second year at the University of Tampa, he blew his knee out running first base. And so he actually changed scholarships and played on the golf team, and that left the opening for somebody to take over on the baseball side. But if you had taken the $30,000 or $40,000 bonus, which is what signing bonus would have been, and played minor league baseball, and blown your knee out, that'd have been it. You wouldn't have had the education. You wouldn't have had the fallback. So I think in some cases, in my brother's case, it was the reality. It was he knew he was good enough to be a quality high school player and a college player, but probably not to make it to the major leagues.
Yeah.
And those are decisions you have to make. Sometimes you don't have that choice. Sometimes the money is important and you have to take it. So there's no problem with that. If you have to take it, you take it. But I wonder what Reggie Bush and some of these guys who got dinged badly, for taking money in college are now looking over at the NIL and saying, "You got to be kidding."
Reggie Bush is raking in the Wendy's money now.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
on the big noon kickoff or whatever. I always see him with the Reggie bag or whatever. The Biggie bag. I call it the Reggie bag now because of the commercial.
It is. I mean, it's Reggie's bag.
I love Reggie Bush. He actually kills me.
He is so funny, and and the interesting and fun part about him is he makes fun of himself.
Yep.
I mean, he has no problem with that.
True
And,
comedian.
yeah, he just enjoys it, and it's kind of like Charles Barkley. I mean, it's like nobody enjoys being Charles Barkley more than Charles Barkley. So, I mean, you gotta love something when Charles is doing what Charles used to do. I mean, it was, and there's, I respect players like that who can laugh at themselves, and who can say, you know what, maybe I wasn't the best, but that didn't mean I didn't try. And I think that's something that we all appreciate.
Yeah. I really liked him as a player. I remember playing with him a few times in Madden. He was good. He's a good running back. I liked him.
Yeah, I mean, he was wasn't right anything wrong with him.
I
He
liked
was
him.
definitely good at what he did, and did it as well as anybody that ever did it. So
Yeah. Now he's got the Fox money. Now he's got the Wendy's money. So
yeah,
I think I've heard him bash at NCAA a few times this year. So that's just him getting them back for that.
yeah,
NIL.
just a little ding, here, a little ding there.
Just a little passive aggressiveness built
Yeah,
up.
just a little. I'm in this role now, and I can say this, and you can't touch me. What do you can't take anything away from me.
Take my money now, NCAA. I don't work for you.
Yeah, I don't work. You're not going to take my car away from me. Not now. So yeah. I mean, you gotta love that, and you gotta love people who have a sense of humor about how times have changed and how they are how they are being perceived. And I think that's kind of the funny thing about it. And to me, when we look back at stuff, it's those guys who laugh at each other and can laugh at each other that you appreciate more, because you can relate to that. You can relate to hey, I've screwed up, and I know better than to basically have anybody think that is not the way it works, right? Life is short, so why make it more any more difficult than you have to? And I think that's what's so much fun about Chuck and some of these guys who don't have any problem. Look at, I mean, even to an extent, you've got why am I blanking? You've got in the Subway commercial, you've got Brady, you've got Steph Curry, you got all those guys, who are, at the very moment, they're getting, Chuck is talking about the we need a new spokesperson, and you've got Gronk, you've got all those people in there, and every one of them don't have any trouble making fun of themselves.
Yeah,
and I think that makes them more relatable to all of us. Is that if you can sit there and make fun of yourself, and you've accomplished what they've accomplished, that's a pretty good thing. That's something you look at, you respect, and you go, that's okay. I mean, I like this person because they seem human, and that's being relatable is all that you ever want out of an athlete, is to give you that, and and guys like Steph Curry and others have figured it out. One last quick thing before we get going from here. Thoughts on KD going to the Phoenix?
I went to sleep last night and I thought all the craziness was over with the trade. I went to sleep and I had just found out about the Russell Westbrook trade, right? And all the three. I know it's a 3-team trade, so there's a lot of confusing stuff in there. But yeah, and then I wake up this morning and I see Kevin Durant traded. It was like 2 a.m. I was like, wow, what a thing to wake up to. So it's interesting. It's interesting, that's for sure. That it's an end of an experiment.
Yeah, the super team that didn't work. Here's the thing: I wouldn't rule out Phoenix now being the team to beat in the West.
Oh, they're going to be strong.
They're
Even the Lakers they fleeced
Mhm.
the Timberwolves and the Jazz in those
Right.
trades. They got what? They got Beasley, they got Vanderbilt.
They had every good team player on the team,
Yeah,
pretty much.
I forget who else they got in that, but it's unbelievable.
Yeah. And you're going, how did this? What did they just want to salary dump? What the hell was going on?
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
know.
Brooklyn just said, "Burn it down. We're going to start all over again."
Yeah, I mean, they already fired the coach, and
Well, they got in return a ton. I mean, Phoenix gave them everything, but the arena. That was just an amazing situation from that standpoint. So yeah, so Kyrie's gone to Dallas. He's got Mark Cuban's got to put up with him.
hey, they won their first game with them yesterday.
What, got 24, something like that?
I don't know. I know Luka wasn't playing, so it makes Kyrie look a little better. That's for sure.
Yeah, that definitely makes him look better. And now Kyrie and KD play each other in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That would be that
Western
could
matchup.
Be pretty fun. So I'll tell you what, as we get out of here today, and Amedeus and I got a text. Our guest Garrett will be with us tomorrow. So he had unfortunately chipped a tooth, which if you've ever done it is never a fun thing.
Yeah, I got two.
Go to the dentist to get that fixed. So he will be here tomorrow, hopefully in not too much pain from being at the dentist today. And we'll try to break down the Super Bowl as best we can and give you all the information on how you might want to wager it. Mr. Amedeus will have his thoughts.
Yeah, why Brandon Ayuk is telling you if he were to bet on the game, he would sell everything he has, get it in cash, and put it on the Kansas City Chiefs. So interesting comment, because there's an idiot out there that's going to go do that, Brandon Ayuk. So
right. Thanks for being stupid.
Watch your words, man. Someone's literally going to sell their house and car and be like, you told me to put it on the Chiefs. Absolutely.
All right, tell you what we're going to do. With a little bit of fun, Mama Daisy and I are going to leave you. But we're going to leave you with some fun. We're going to leave you with Chuck being interviewed by Danny Roulier, who does one of the best Charles Barkley impersonations. So a little fun on Thursday. A flashback Thursday. Here's Charles Barkley being interviewed by Charles Barkley.
Is the best I have ever heard. And
that's really good.
So we thought, how do you take that to the next level? And here's how.
Uh-oh.
You have Charles Barkley interview Charles Barkley. Danny Roulier joins us from Washington, D.C.
Oh!
And I'm looking forward to Chuck interviewing Chuck.
This is a great play. First of all, it's a pleasure to have me here. It's an honor. Like I say, I've been doing this for many years, and I've been doing this for a very long time, and it's good to be appreciated. I was listening to y'all talk before I came on the air, and we didn't win as many awards as we should have. I'm spinning some industry secrets. Back to you, Ernie.
What you got for the Chuckster? What have you always wanted to know?
Well, there's the first question for Chuck. This is Chuck. I want to ask you, first of all, like I say, how come when it's your turn to talk, you put your right hand down on the podium like this and brace yourself like it's an earthquake? Why you do that?
You have to speak with power. You have to speak with conviction. Let people know you in the room. So you do put your hand down to get their attention first and foremost.
That didn't make no sense. Now, here's my next question for Chuck. This is also Chuck. When it's Kenneth's turn to talk, Ernie throw it to Kenneth. So Ernie got the ball. It's not a real ball, but it's a pretend ball. And he throw it to Kenneth. Why come does it look like, first, like I say, that Kenneth looks like he's about to give Toddler bad news? Why does he have that pain expression on his face when it's his time?
I can answer that.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Go ahead, Kenneth. Back to you.
Because, hey, Chuck, because every time you ask me a question, Chuck, I have to hear it like, first of all, and it's not really first of all.
Yeah,
it's usually second of all, or third of all, or fourth of all, or fifth of all. So he's always using the same one as it's the first time we're hearing it, and it's not. That's why I'm in the painful look.
Chuck, that makes sense.
Chuck,
You see how that answer made sense?
First of all,
Kenny makes
First of all, there it is. There it is. First of all, there it is. There it is. First of all.
Stay in character, Danny. Stay in character.
There it is.
That's right. I apologize.
First of all, go ahead. First of all, what?
No, I'm saying you make sense, Ernie makes sense, and I make sense. That's the way this show works.
What about Shaq?
Don't make no sense.
I don't need to. I make dollars and cents.
Whoa!
Go ahead, Chuck.
Oh, thank you very much, Ernest. So this is Chuck again for Chuck. My question is, how come every time there's a highlight and there's a center, not even in the game, but in the arena, maybe he hurt, he in street clothes, how come Shaq take credit for the center? He didn't invent the position, but he act like he do. How come he do that?
Thank you, Danny. Thank you very much. And he can't give no big man no credit.
All right, well, let me answer that.
Okay.
Because I'm the reigning Dundada of all big men. Period. That's why I can speak on that. If you don't like it, do something about it, Chuck. I'll come to Washington, D.C. and get some furniture moving down there.
Well, so hold on, Ernest. This happened today on Twitter. Shaq was on Twitter. He issued a challenge. He said to me, he said, any punk can do a Charles Barkley. I don't think that's true. I think mine's very good. But he said, anybody can do Charles, but can people do Shaq? So I'd like to do a joke between Shaq and Charles, if that's okay with you.
I cannot wait for this one.
So, knock, Chuck. Let me ask you, shut up. Let me ask you something, Chuck. Knock, Chuck. I don't want to have a knock joke with you, dumbit. Knock, Chuck. Fine, who's there? A second trip to the finals. A second trip. Never mind, wrong house. You see what I did there?
That was good.
Thank you.
That was good.
Thank you, Shaq. Thank you, Shaq. Now,
man.
Chuck, I have other questions about, it's basically about your guarantees. Do you think it's important to ever get a guarantee right?
No, just the
This place gonna blow up one day, Ernie.
Okay. Turn it off. Abort. Hey, Danny, you see what you started there?
But that was the correct
Jeez,
answer.
abort.
You can't hate. That's the right answer. My last question is, if Bojan Bogdanovic and Bogdan Bogdanovic were to fight for Bogdanovic supremacy, who would win?
the big Bogdanovich.
Which one's that?
Big butt.
But you said Boban, right?
No.
Bogdanovic.
and
See,
Wait.
The Utah Bogdanovich or the Atlanta?
Oh, I love the Atlanta Bogdanovich. I'm going with the Atlanta Bogdanovich.
That's also correct.
Hey, Danny Rouhier, thank you.
Can we
so
hear your
much,
regular
man.
voice? How could you say it? What he really does?
I actually got to forget how to do my regular voice, guys. I've been doing this for a whole bunch of days. But this is a pleasure. You guys are the best show ever, so thank you for having me, man. It's awesome.
great job.